Hey guys, it's Drive By. I'm gonna go over some PvP add-ons today. It's a really cool video. It's always fun to see what other people come up with. I'm gonna talk about the most important ones, and then I'm gonna show you some ones that are really cool and you might like them. So let's just go to Escape and let's check out our add-ons, and we'll go to the first one. Battlegroundenemies. It is absolute necessity if you're gonna do Battlegrounds or you have Battlegroundenemies. When I open it up, I go into BGE, boom, we're opening it. Yours will not look like this, but mine is configured for me. This is what it does, right? It's gonna have all the enemies on the other team. Usually it's more of a set bar, but you can play with the configuration. I'll put some videos out on how I like to customize things if you like this. I like the buttons a little bigger so I can click them. And if there's a way to make it so that you can see if they're out of range, if they have a trinket, you can check the DRs on them. If you have certain effects on them, you can track individual effects as well as you can track all the effects on them. I think sometimes it's a little busy. You can see their health. You can see how many people are on them. That's a 0 right here. Their name, obviously. If they're carrying a flag, it's their mana, what spec they are, right? It is absolutely critical that you have this add-on. At least use it for the enemy players. I use standard raid frames for my teammates, but for the enemies, you absolutely need it. So go to CurseForge and download this add-on. I'll make a video on how to get CurseForge, but for right now, it's just going to be good add-ons that you need. Next, check out our add-ons. We're going to go down BigDebuffs. So BigDebuffs is going to put on your party frames. It's going to make all the debuffs that are critical, like Fear, Polymorph, Mind Games, bigger on your party frames, right? So if I was in a party, it wouldn't be a little tiny square that you can barely see. It makes it a little bigger. Critical. There's a couple other things too, but that's the main one, right? Increases the debuff size of crowd control effects on Blizzard raid frames. Capping. I really like capping. It's an add-on, like when you capture a flag on a battleground, it'll tell you how long till it caps. It'll tell you if the game keeps going the way it is, if you're going to win or you lose, and how long till that happens. It's just really convenient. You can link it to your chat. It's good for a base sitter, I think, to kind of help put information out, because you don't have to say anything. You put it in the chat, and then if the raid leader even, your leader even cares to look at it, you could be like, ah, good, it's right there. He doesn't have his own, right? So, or anybody doesn't have their own, you can share it. It's a really good add-on, but not necessary. BigDebuffs, Battlegroundenemies are necessary. Here's another one that's not necessary, but I think is very good, and it's ClassicNumbers. So, when I'm dealing damage, right? You see how the numbers are underneath the training dummy, and they're not like over top of all the debuffs. They're also not blasting in the middle of my screen constantly and giving me these big purple and green numbers. I really, really like ClassicNumbers because I can adjust the settings, and it's just so clean and never really in the way. It comes in at their feet, and there's something really satisfying about ClassicNumbers. It just feels really good, and it's really clean, especially when there's a big fight. It's all at their feet, and it's just not, it's not overbearing. I really recommend it. It's a good add-on, right? Going down, coordinates details, absolutely necessary. This is how you want to, it's this little thing down here. I don't have any information on it right now, but there we go. You can track damage. You can track pretty much everything, but damage, dispels, interrupts, crowd control done, crowd control received, all really, really good ones. Here's healing done, right? So a really good add-on for seeing what your team is doing and who's performing, who's underperforming, or who's focusing on what, and whatnot. To me, like healing or damage done is not nearly as important as crowd control done, right? Because crowd control done is effectively two things. it's damage done, right? Because if you crowd control a healer, he's not healing the damage that would be dealt to the person. So in a sense, it's damage done. And then it's also healing done because whoever's in CC is not dealing damage. So crowd control is damage and healing. So if you ever get in grief for damage because you're crowd controlling, say check that crowd control meter, right? Because that's really what's happening. And anybody with a brain knows that that is far more important than somebody that stood there and just ran their rotation, right? So really critical add-on, and a good leader will use it, and a good player will keep track of it and try to better themselves with it. Like if you're a healer and your dispels are low, make sure you get them higher. If your interrupts are low, maybe it's time to really go to the macro guide and check out those focus macros, you know, because you need them, right? Really good add-on. I'd say it's absolutely necessary, but it's not. It's just borderline, right? Gladiatorlossa, not necessary. Kind of hard to adjust to. So what this does is it audibly tells you when people use cooldowns or when they're down, right? Trinkets and stuff like that. At first, it's a little aggressive, but they added some settings to it where you can actually turn off a lot of things. If you want to just track trinkets with it, you can. When you're in a battleground, I have a setting, I have a profile that takes it way down, so it's only like immunities and trinkets. When I'm in an arena, I let it just go crazy because it's not so much information, I can't handle it, right? So very good add-on, and it kind of brings you into the fourth dimension. Now you're audibly tracking your players, and that's some intense stuff, right? HideObjectiveTracker. This isn't necessarily for PvP, but if I type in /TOT, it will hide my quests. Right? It won't show this quest thing over here, not in the drop down. And honestly, I hate that thing because sometimes it resets and drops down, and I like it just hidden. And I can type in /TOT, and it'll show up on the side. There we go. Boom. All right. Next, really good add-on, idTip. This makes it, and I cannot express how powerful this add-on really is. So that you see the spell ID on my tooltip on the right side. You can see the spell ID, right? You see it's 2048-4 for Rebirth. This is so that you can add it to things like WeakAuras or Tellmewhen or Plater or Battlegroundenemies. You can just look at the ability and see what it does. Or I can hover, I can attack something, right? Right? And I can hover over the thing on him, and it will tell me that Thrash has got a number of 19, 20, 90, right? And I can put it in my tracker, my Plater tracker. So otherwise, I'd be on Wowhead looking the item up and take it forever, and I can make quick adjustments to my UI if I need to. If I see something's missing, I can just change it. And you should be constantly adjusting your UI to perform better, right? I have this Killing Blow Enhanced. It's pretty fun. It makes noise when you kill people. It's personal preference. I like it. Omnibar, I don't have it active right now, but I always have it active in arenas, right? Omnibar is going to allow you to track people's cooldowns. And I think when there's not 10 players on the other team, it's easy to do. The most important thing that it does is that you can track their kicks. This is how you're going to know when you can free cast and when you can't. And that can be the difference between winning a game and not. I also use it to track things like Pillar of Frost or Divine Shield. You don't want to have too many things on it, but it's fully customizable. It's really good. OmniCC. I don't use OmniCC on this character, but you could. I use a lighter version of it. But basically what it does is it puts numbers on your abilities, like this, right? And based on how close it is to the end, whether it's a debuff or it's a buff or a cooldown, the colors change, right? So it'll get a little bigger and whatnot. It's really handy. It makes it really catch your eye nice. And I recommend OmniCC, or maybe even, I use ToolCC, which is kind of the same thing. OmniCD. This is how you track your teammates' cooldowns. So on their party frames, and I don't recommend you use this in Battlegrounds, I don't know how that would work. But in arenas, you can put it on their left or on their right, but it'll hold basically their cooldowns here, and it'll have timers on it, and it'll highlight them when they're using them. So if your mage has Ice Block, you know he has Ice Block ready, and you don't have to, what's the word, you know, communicate it so much as you want to maybe communicate when he's going to use it, right? Plater is going to be our, for me, it's my nameplates. There's so many you can use. You use like tidy plates, fly plate buffs, but I use Plater. I think it's the most customizable one. Maybe it takes a little bit of work to get used to using it, but in the end, I've tried them all. Plater is the best one to me, and I think in time you'll find the same thing. Next, Quartz. A lot of people are against Quartz. This is why I use it. I needed an add-on that made my focus target's cast bar big. So if I make myself my focus and I cast Regrowth, I wanted to see my focus cast. So if I was over here beating up on this thing over here, I wanted to see when something over here cast. Right, so I could interrupt it, or I could line of sight it. So that's why I used Plater. I think it's a really clean cast bar add-on. Everything in Quartz, my apology, Quartz is customizable. Like I can move them around, right? And it's really nice. I recommend it, right? You can try it out. But if you're having trouble seeing like your focus cast bars or Arena 1, 2, 3 cast bar or whatever, I really think that that's a good add-on for that, because you can adjust. I can make the cast bar so big if I need to, and I mean I don't, but I could, right? The next one I have, it's not checked right now because I'm not doing arenas, but it's Sarena. What Sarena is going to do is it's going to show the frames for the enemy, and it's going to give you every piece of information that you really need. So here, and then test. So our use profile, and you can see it shows you DR, right? It'll show you if they're in CC, right, or their name. It shows their trinket, their health, their mana. You can put cast bars on it. I have them turned off. It's a really, really powerful add-on, and anybody uses this or some version of it. So there's other things that do the same thing, but that's just it. They do the same thing. So you need something for that. So let's turn that off. Next, for the add-ons, this is a really good one, SortGroup. SortGroup is really good for healers. What it does is when you enter Arena, it makes sure you're always at the top of the party frames. And if you're a healer, you know what I'm talking about. Where like you'll have a DPS above you and one below you, and it's kind of confusing. But if you use party 1 and 2 and then self macros to target yourself, so you don't have to click on the thing and you can use your mouse to move, then it's really convenient to have yourself at the top at all times. So then it's very easy to see party 1 and party 2 and who's what. This is the SortGroup add-on, and it is powerful. The only thing about it is every time you go into edit mode, you need to reload because it'll bug out in the middle of an arena, and then you'll be in a bad spot. But it's a pretty easy fix. Just make sure you don't edit mode while you're in queue, and if you do, just reload so it doesn't screw you over. Next, I have probably the most underrated and not known about add-on that is crazy good. And anytime you ask me in a battleground how many people, how many enemies are there, I will always be able to tell you instantly without question, right? Because if you look over here above my map, you'll see it tells you how many people on your side are around you and how many enemies are around you. So if I'm outnumbered and he's like, how many are there? I'll be like 7. Like, wow, he counted really fast. No, I just have a thing that tells me exactly how many people are there. So really good add-on, really lightweight. The only crappy thing is that it's in here is just another thing in your add-on list, which add-ons are, having too many can be a pain, but having small, clean ones isn't so bad. It's when they start to impair your vision that they become an issue. Tellmewhen. Tellmewhen is my WeakAuras. It's like WeakAuras, except I think it's better by a lot. I just don't think it was first, so it's not as popular. It's way more user-friendly, and it's just, you don't have to go into Wago and get like a profile that somebody made for themselves. I make my own stuff with Tellmewhen. I have my own health bars here. The reason why I have 3 there is because while I'm in bear form, I want to know how much mana I have in my other form, right? It's really important to me. Or I can show cast bars on this, or I can show, it's just really powerful, and just check it out. Zaryu talks about it a lot on his stream as well, and I am definitely going to make a video on Tellmewhen because it is really overpowered add-on that people just don't know about. And if you just put a little time into it, it's crazy what it can do. It can do everything, right? And then the last one is WeakAuras, and I have WeakAuras because I was testing some things. It's still really good, and if you like WeakAuras, you like WeakAuras. It's just, I think it's more complicated than Tellmewhen. I had trouble learning WeakAuras, but I had it really easy. Tellmewhen, I didn't even look at a guide. I just started using it and doing everything that I would have wanted to do on WeakAuras with Tellmewhen. So I really recommend it. And then Trade Skill Master is not a PvP add-on, but if you want to make money, and maybe in the future I'll get into economy type of things, it's really good and will give you an edge on other players that aren't using it, right? So I hope that maybe you saw some things. I just wanted to run through add-ons you had to have, and maybe some cool add-ons you hadn't thought about or hadn't seen yet. And in the future, we'll go into depth on each one that I have and that I really like. And currently, I'm looking for one to track dispels on my mage. So if you got a good one for that, put it in the comments, because the dispel add-ons are really bad right now, and I just want to see when I take something. All right, guys. I hope I helped you maybe get something you didn't know or try something new. And other than that, like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.